This is I Hate My Kids. In a very special episode, I'm hanging out in one of my favorite places, the Judge's Bench. Thank you to them for letting me record here. And I'm here with one of my regular buddies. I'll let him introduce himself.
Hello, I am Daryl Hogan from Columbia, Maryland. And I laugh when you say a very special episode because it makes me think of those 90s shows where it's a serious topic and it's like, ooh, on a very special episode of Bum Bum Bum.
Yeah.
This won't be that type of show. All right.
Yeah. If someone at your school offers you drugs, take it.
Yes.
I'm joking. Do not. My daughter might watch this. Do not take those drugs. Bring them to me.
Me too.
But yeah. So I'm excited to have you on the show. So thank you for joining me. This is the first time I've done this show in person. So we'll see how this works out. If you're watching this, when you watch this, if you listen to it, give me some feedback. I'm always trying to learn and grow, and this is a part of the evolution of the podcast. So we'll jump right into it. And yeah, man, we're going to talk plenty about kids, but before we get into talking about kids, man, tell me a little bit about you. You're in Columbia, but tell me a little bit about yourself, man.
Sure thing. Should I look at you or look at them? Or does it matter?
Whatever.
I'll just
We'll look at each other.
Yeah. Go back and forth. All right.
The way I was taught in when I was doing public speaking, every now and then you glance out at the crowd and then you go back to what you're doing. So
I can rotate back and forth.
Occasional glances.
Well, again, my name is Daryl Hogan. I am from Columbia, Maryland. I was actually born at Fort Meade, so my dad was military.
Okay.
I was lucky enough that my dad was military. We only moved once. One time in middle school, we lived in Hawaii. So the majority of my life, I grew up in Columbia. Born at Fort Meade, went to Phelps Luck Elementary School in Long Reach, and then Ellicott City Middle School in Long Reach, which has since transitioned to another school next to the YMCA up the street.
Oh, yeah, I know that.
Went to Wild Lake Middle School for 8th grade, and then back to Howard for 9th through 12th. And then went to college for a semester, joined the military, moved around, came back, went to school for a bit, and then got into the work field. So
all right. So what type of work do you do?
Right now, I'm an account manager for a pharmaceutical company.
Okay.
And it's funny because up until about 2 weeks ago, I had a job, but I really didn't work. I would be at home, and I'm in charge of these accounts that technically hadn't launched. So if anybody is familiar with the industry, you get a contract with a certain company. The company I work for contracts with other pharmaceutical companies to distribute their medications, but the ones we had not actually gone into effect. So for the past few months, I guess I hope none of my coworkers watch this, but for the past few months, I had a lot of extra time, a lot of extra bandwidth. But within the past couple of weeks, all the programs I've launched, so I'm pretty busy now. But I work remote from home for a company that originally was based out of Kansas City, Kansas, and then we were acquired by another company. So my parent company now is based in New Jersey, and then we have a branch in Arizona. But again, I work remote in Maryland. I think 2 other employees work in Maryland. So I've been with them for 4 years, and I've been working remote for about 4 years.
Okay.
Well, that's not true. I did a little stint at Progressive prior to the pandemic.
Gotcha.
But the pandemic hit, and I could not manage 3 kids in elementary school and do a new job, so I had to go back to the field that I was in.
But
we can get to
we'll get
later.
We'll get there.
Yes.
So you mentioned being born in Fort Meade. Father, I'm assuming, was in military.
Correct, yes.
Yeah. Now, did you follow that path? Did you end up going into that?
I did to a certain extent because I was young and silly and foolish, and my dad said high school was getting ready to end. My dad was like, either go to college, get a job, or join the military. And at the time, I was young and in love, and I was dating this British girl whose father worked for the British version of NSA called GSQ. So we had dated from 10th grade through 12th grade, and my idea and mindset at the time, as I look back, was stupid, was I'm going to go to school for a semester. I really just didn't want to do school anymore. It just wasn't my thing. I was like, I'll just join the military. I'll work for 2 years. I'll get the college fund. I'll save up money. She'll come back. We'll get married. Life will be beautiful. Life will be wonderful. That was my idea. Unfortunately, I went to school for a semester. I was like, I don't like school. This is like 13th grade. I just need a break. My dad said, join the military. So in my mindset at the time, because I'm 54, I have no problem saying how old I am. So it was in 89. We had just
That's how you know somebody looks good for their age.
Yeah, we had just
I'm 54, whatever.
We had just finished the invasion of Panama. So in my mindset, there's a war every 7 years. I was like, Panama, the Falklands. And I was doing the calculations. And I was like, well, if I join the military now, I should be fine. Shouldn't have any problems. There won't be another year. I only enlisted for 2 years and 5 months. But what had happened was she went back to England. I went to school for a semester. I ended up joining the military. I went through basic training, jump school because of the Navy, 2nd Airborne. The Gulf War broke out. So she had actually come over from England to visit me that, I think, Thursday. I drove home to visit her. I was like, oh, I have to go back, and then I'm going to take off for 2 weeks. When I drove back, if anyone's familiar with the military in Fort Bragg, it's like a big city. Every single light was on at Fort Bragg, and I was like, shit, I'm getting deployed somewhere. My girlfriend just flew over from England to spend 2 weeks with me, and 2 days later, a day later I was in Germany, 2 days later I was in Saudi Arabia.
Damn.
So after that I was like, no more military for me. I got in the military, became a raver for a while, then I got into the service.
So that like killed that relationship too? Was that kind of what that was?
Without a doubt. Which is another funny story. If you ever have a story about, if you ever change a podcast to jaded boyfriends, I can tell you a story about me flying to England to go have a conversation with my ex-girlfriend.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
You flew to England to have the conversation.
Because I called her house, and I'm sorry we're deviating from the topic of kids. But I'd gotten out of the military. And she was British. I called her house speaking in a British accent, and her sister's name was Caroline. I was like, hello, Caroline. This is Daryl. Can I speak to Joanna? And she's like, well, she's not here. She's at Chris's house. And I was like, oh, who's Chris? She's like, her boyfriend. And I was like, oh, that's funny, because I thought I was her boyfriend. She hung up the phone.
Said too much.
So I called back. Nobody answers. I called back a couple hours later. Her sister was like, oh, no, I don't have a boyfriend. I was just joking. We're still dating. I'm like, okay. So 2 of my friends were actually over there for school for a semester, and their semester was ending right when I was getting out of the military. So I was like, can I fly over and stay with you guys for a little bit? And then can we go up to like North and Cheltenham, England, where she is? And he's like, sure. So a friend of mine had gotten off, and we made a plan to spend a month there just traveling. But I didn't tell her I was going. So I literally bought a ticket. I flew over. I met my friends. We hung out for a while. We met this girl in Bath, England, who gave us a ride up to my girlfriend's house. I just showed up at her front door, and she thought I was in America. So she's just like, and then we talked it out. I met her new boyfriend, who became her husband, who then became her ex-husband. And now she actually lives in Pennsylvania somewhere. So, it all worked out. But it was a little bit crazy. But yes, I was very jaded after the Gulf War, and I decided I wasn't going to stay in the military.
Got you. All right. I realized we made a faux pas of drinking. Cheers, sir.
Cheers, absolutely.
Thank you for doing this.
No problem. Thank you for inviting me.
Yeah, likewise. Well, wait, I said thank you already. I don't know why I host anything, because I feel like I'm just such an awkward person. I always do that, like, you said something. But yeah, I appreciate that. Thank you for sharing more about that, because I know we've talked a little bit on those levels, but not so deep in that.
Yep.
And you said you all did some moving around. You said you were in Hawaii.
Correct.
Now, did you move a lot though?
No, I was really lucky. Like a lot of military families, their parents have moved multiple times. I meet friends who are like, oh, I've been in this school for a year. Been in this school for a year. One of my friends works for the State Department. He's moved, I think, 5 times with his family. I was really lucky that, again, I went to Phelps Luck. From 2nd grade to 2nd, 3rd, and 4th, I was in Hawaii. Then 5th through 12th, I was back in Columbia. So I'm like Columbia born and bred back in the day, yes. I was very lucky where we got to stay in one place. There was a lot of stability. Came back to my same friends, kept those same friends through high school.
Got you. Yeah, I was curious about that because I grew up in Atlanta. I'm from Baltimore, but I grew up in Atlanta. And like when people ask me, they're like, oh, where'd you live in Atlanta? I'm like, everywhere. When my family moved, like we were in the military. So when you said, oh, yeah, I've not moved too much, I was like, oh, that's opposite of what the stereotype I always put out there.
And that kind of falls back to my kids because, I mean, we'll get into it later, but I am not with their mom. So I have 3 kids that are just with me. And I work remote, so I can actually work and live anywhere in any state. And my ex-wife, well, I'll get into that too, with my oldest son. I have 4 kids, a 24-year-old, his nickname is Bug, a 15-year-old, his nickname is McGillicuddy, an 11-year-old, whose nickname is Muggsy, and a 10-year-old, whose nickname is Little Cat D. So I was married to my ex-wife, Allison. We had my older son, Bug. We got divorced when he was 5, turning 6.
Okay.
I was single for a few years, and I ended up running into someone I was friends with from high school. We never dated, just platonic friends, but we used to be really close.
Yeah.
One thing led to another. We ended up having 3 more children. And part of the reason I've stayed in this area is because I want them to be able to stay with their friends and grow up around their friends. It was really important to me. And that's something I kind of wanted them to experience. Because there's a lot of times when I'm like, I could go to California, I could go to Hawaii, I could go to North Carolina, but they're kind of established where they are with the schools that they're in, and they have a set group of friends. I don't want to take them away from it. I can
Right. Yeah. No, and I think that's a commendable decision to make, you know, in a similar one, because like me and my daughter's mom, you know, we work well together. In fact, like, I live on the end of Ellicott City in Kingsville. She lives on the end of Ellicott City in Columbia. Like, we're like right there. And so we keep this ability to kind of communicate, work together. And I think that there was such an important element to me where I was like, you know, until she's out on her own, we are like, this is family. Like, this ain't, I understand whatever it is we have between us and this, we're not together. We don't have to be, but we're family. So I think that that's, you know, because I think that's important for kids.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah. Now, so you did kind of go into a little bit about your kids, 4 kids, all boys.
All boys. I have 2 brothers.
Wow. So you don't have any sisters either? So
no sisters.
Wow, all boys.
When I was married, my ex-wife had, well, she actually had 2 older brothers, 1 younger brother.
Okay.
And her older brothers have had kids. And I had 2 nieces. Unfortunately, I lost them in the divorce. Oh. As time's gone on, we've kept in touch through Facebook, but you know, they're older, they're in their 20s now. They're doing their own thing, but no girls.
Gotcha.
Boy dog, boy cats.
Damn, okay.
They have a bird and a fish, maybe boy bird and fish, I don't know.
Did you ever want to have a girl? Like, how do you feel about that?
Yes and no. From what my friends have told me, because a lot of my friends, most of my close friends, my closest friends, I would say, one has 2 boys, another one has 2 boys, another one has 1 boy, another one has 3 girls, another one has 2 boys and 1 girl, another one has twins, a boy and a girl. And that's, my closest friends, that's it. So I've asked them, you know, what's the difference between a girl and a boy? And they're like, well, if you would have had a daughter, she would have been wrapped around your finger.
Okay.
As a youth.
Wait, she would have been wrapped around your finger, or you would have been wrapped?
I misspoke. Yes, I would have been wrapped around her finger as a young. But then they're like, but once she hits those teenage years, think about how you were in high school and middle school, and that thought's going to be an echo in your head, and you'd be way overprotective, which might cause her to rebel. So I think the universe had its way with me and worked out to give me boys.
Gotcha.
I don't know. Unfortunately, I have 2 older brothers. I have a douchey older brother and drunky older brother. Drunky older brother and I get along very well. Douchey older brother and I do not. But drunky older brother and I, we like the company of females in our youth. So we were just dating and dating. Yeah, absolutely. Dating and dating and dating. And I think about some of the way I treated some of the people I dated. And if my daughter came home upset, how I would internalize that. Like, you have to be an adult and realize they're just kids. Yeah. But then part of me is just like, so yes, I think to prevent me and lots of legal bills, I think the universe worked its way out to give me boys. Boys cause problems too, don't get me wrong. But yeah, occasionally I would reflect upon that and think, how would I be if I was a dad of a girl? You know, and I think about my nieces when they were younger. I never treated them any differently than their cousins, my sons. Like, I let them play together. I never made any type of gender specific, like, oh, girls do this, boys do that. They were equal across the board. But then I think if it was my own child, as I got older, I don't know how I would have handled that. It is, like, I definitely look at myself, and I have 1 kid, and she's 15 now, and you know, I think that there was a part of me, I think, you know, every guy wants a son, right? You know, every guy wants that, and that's kind of like the way you are almost conditioned to want as a parent. So, you know, I definitely think that when, you know, initially there was, I don't know if I was disappointed, but I guess the main point I'm trying to make is, I think, like, for me, I'm grateful that I have a daughter, because I think it forced me to grow in a way, in this way where I was like, oh my God, I'm a bit of a fucking idiot. Like, oh shit, I can't be an idiot for her. I gotta be better for her in a lot of ways, you know? So how does that, like, when you kind of think about how you were as, say, a kid,
do you think you've tried to steer your kids to not be like you in any particular ways?
Yes and no. That's kind of a multifaceted. It's like a Shrek answer. Like, I'm complicated. I'm a layer, like an onion.
Right,
I'm a parfait. I think about my childhood, and it's funny because the without throwing shade on anybody, the mother of my younger three, and then my ex-wife, they did not really have happy childhoods. Unfortunately, they came from dysfunctional families, and I won't say who they are, so nobody knows. But they used to complain to me a lot and say, you had a beaver cleaver household. You had nothing to complain about. Your family's perfect. I'm like, no family is perfect, but I had it pretty good.
Yeah.
And I think about, it's funny because one of our friends was here that I've been friends with for 40 years. Like I said, I don't mind not saying how old I am. 40 years. We ran into him downstairs, and I was saying he remembers me as a teenager. And I was thinking about all the silly, foolish things I did. It was never because my parents gave me a bad example.
Right.
They always set a really good example. My dad was strict. Very strict. He's from the South.
Military.
And he's career military. And then my mom's from DC. She's a city girl. So it's very unique that I had an alpha female mom and an alpha female dad. I had two alphas. But I always felt loved, always was provided for. They always set a really good example. And I just was mischievous. I just wanted to get into trouble and go out and do things.
You want to do hood rat things.
Absolutely. So I try to keep most of those stories away from my kids. I just went on a family trip this weekend, and my brother, drunkle brother, brought up a lot of those stories with the kids, and I'm just like, you don't really have to tell them that. Look, remember you did this, remember you did that, and I'm like, you didn't really have to tell them that. But it's kind of a fine line. One thing I've realized is that my brothers and I are three different sides of a pyramid. Like, we're completely different. Same mom, same dad, same household, same community we grew up in, and we ended up completely different personalities. Different tastes in music, different friend groups, different values, like completely different. So I say to myself, when my kids are growing up and I look back at them, I'm like, I want them to be able to express themselves, be who they are. I want to set a good example, but I give them a lot of bandwidth. And then also, my parents are still married. They've been married for Douchey Brothers 62 years. Douchey Brother. Where my ex-wife and I split up when my son was 5, and then the mother of the younger, we were on again, off again for a really long time, but we finally had a final split almost 3 years ago, and the kids are with me. I have full custody. So I say I kind of have to give a lot more grace because they don't have the bandwidth, you know what I mean? Like, with my older son, he's 24 now, he lives in Spokane. He's on his own, he's fine. When he was growing up, my ex-wife and I had split custody where I would have him and he would have him, and he had a nice equal balance. With the younger ones, their mom's a free spirit, I'll say that. So it's not as much stability. So I give them a lot of leniencies with a lot of things. I want them to kind of grow and develop as to who they are. I definitely don't want them to be like me in the ways that I was mischievous, because I am not in a financial position to get them out of trouble if they get into it. But as far as personality-wise, I do want them to know that. I had a really good friend group growing up, and it was a really diverse friend group. Different ethnicities, different religions. We were close friends. And again, I've been friends with most of them since elementary school. A couple of them we had falling out over the years, but for the most part, we stayed close. So I want my kids to have a really good friend group. I want them to take certain aspects of my personality, a sense of humor, not taking life too seriously, patience with their mom, patience with other situations. But as far as the mischievous side, I do not want them to get in trouble. It can lead you down a path that's really hard to get out of once you get into it. So I was telling them, depending on what they want to be, you kind of have to not take it too seriously, but kind of have in the back of your mind that this is what I can do to get to where I want to be. And any missteps you have, don't do it. And I give them a realistic view of it. Like, I don't lie. And I have a really large extended family. My mom's one of 14 and my dad is one of 7. And I'm on the younger end. And again, I'm 54, so I have a gazillion cousins. So a lot of times, I can give them examples of, one of my uncles was a mayor, one of my cousins was a judge, a couple of my cousins are, executives, and I have other cousins that are heroin addicts, I have cousins that have passed away, cousins that are in active drug use, you know what I mean? Like, there's a wide spectrum that they're exposed to. So I try to keep that relative when I talk to them. I want the younger two to stay kids. They're both, the youngest one's still in elementary school, the other one's going into middle school. And then the older one, he's always had an adult mentality. So I've been able to kind of talk to him on a higher level. But so I'd say 30% of my personality I'd like them to stay away from. 70%.
You want them to take
I want them to stick with, yes.
Now, how would you say in terms of, like you were saying, your parents were both these very like type A, you know, not overbearing, but alpha, like on your ass. Do you feel like any of your parenting style has been consciously different in that way, or do you try to? How much of that do you try to pull in, and how much do you try to pull back?
It's kind of like a amalgamation mesh of everything.
Yeah.
Because you have to parent kids differently. Like you're lucky you have one. I have 4 kids with 4 different personalities, and as I said about my brothers, we all ended up differently. So you kind of have to. I have one kid
with 4 different personalities. That's cool.
Sybil,
sorry, kid. I love you.
What are you doing?
You're gonna watch this. I love you. I'm just joking.
But it's one of those things where you kind of have to parent each kid. Without going down a deep dive well of specifics, my older son, my ex-wife was a super jock. My drunkle brother was a super jock. Went to states in track, went to states in football.
Wow.
My oldest brother was super intellectual, went to an Ivy League college on a full ride, super smart. And me, I didn't want to be like my older brothers. So I was like, I'm going to be a little skate punk, listen to punk rock, chase girls, hang out, have a good time. Just to kind of deviate from the personality.
Right.
My parents...
You got to establish your path. Yeah.
Absolutely.
And you said you're the youngest?
I'm the youngest, yes. I'm the youngest. Yeah. 2 older brothers.
Yep.
So my parents did a really good job of parenting to each of us. By me, they were a little bit tired because they were older when they had me. So I think I got away with more than I should have, and being the baby. But
you get to see what they do to fuck up, too.
Absolutely.
I have older siblings, but I grew up with one of my sisters. And I used to just watch what I'm like, okay, don't do that.
Absolutely.
Like, okay, if I want to, I want to do that thing she did, but I won't do that part that got her caught.
Correct. Yes. And my oldest brother, from my experience and knowledge, and my memory might be a little skewed, never got in trouble with anything. He was very good, quiet, stayed to himself, had a good core group of friends, and didn't get in trouble.
Yeah.
My middle brother was sneaky, got in a lot of trouble, and we're 19 months apart. So I was a freshman when he was a sophomore.
Yeah.
So we were in high school at the same time. We took completely different friend groups. He was a jock, I was a punk rocker, but we were both getting into trouble subsequently. Yeah. But the good thing about that is I could blame him for a lot of stuff that would happen. So if my mom came home and there's like empty bottles or cigarette butts, I'm like, it wasn't me, it was him. I'm the good one, I'm innocent. And I think about that with my kids because, again, the younger 2 are similar to my brother and myself. And there's a 5-year gap between the youngest and the oldest one that's in the house.
Okay.
And then a less than 2-year gap between the other 2. So it reminds me a lot of the dynamics of my family. So back to the parenting. So the good thing that I really appreciate about my parents is they didn't put us in a box. They parented to each of us kind of the way we were, accepted us for who we were, always scolded us, were very strict, didn't let us get away with anything, but they recognized, like, they were never like, oh, your brother did this, you need to do this, or vice versa.
Yeah, right.
So I try my best.
You or pitting
absolutely.
You against the other.
So
That's cool.
I am far from perfect. I fall into that gap sometimes, but for the most part, I let them be who they are.
Yeah.
My Muggsy he's 80% me, 20% his mom.
Okay.
But he's a free spirit. I mean, if I called my kids now and said, hey, I'm getting ready to leave this interview, I'm going to go cliff diving, Muggsy would be like, I'll go.
And how old is Muggsy again?
He's going to be 12 in October.
Oh, okay, all right.
The other 2 would be like, I'm not going cliff diving. Are you crazy? Whatever. I mean, Muggsy, I used to have this little electronic motorcycle.
Yeah.
He learned to ride that before he learned how to ride a bike.
Wow.
He's very street spirit. He's very outgoing. But he's also the one I have to keep an eye on and discipline the most.
Right.
Out of all my kids, he's the one who's gotten into the most trouble. I was outside talking to Dave, and I was saying that I was at my house one time, and I'm hearing a knock at the door, and there's police at the door. And this is this last summer. And I'm like, why are police at my door? They're like, excuse me, is there a blank Hogan that lives at this house? I'm like, yeah, that's my son. Why? It's like, well, he was ringing people's doorbells, and they have doorbell cams, and they know he lives right behind them. So I get him, and I come up. Muggsy. Yes, I come up, and I'm like, Muggsy, were you ringing doorbell? Oh, it wasn't me. It was my friend. I was standing there behind him. I'm like, they have doorbell cams. They can see you. Okay, it was me, but he dared me to do it. You know what I mean? So then another time, I'm home. He comes running in the house. I'm like, what's up? He's like, if someone comes across the street and says I stole something, I really didn't steal it. It was the guy I was with. He was shoplifting. I said I didn't want to do it. I ran across the street. I mean, that's something I've dealt with consistently since he was a little kid.
Yeah.
where the youngest is just quiet. He's just really quiet. He goes with the flow.
Yeah.
He caters to stuff his mom says, caters to stuff I say. He just has a very easygoing personality. If I tell him something, I tell him once, it's good to go.
Yeah.
Muggsy, I tell him 2 times, 3 times, 4 times, 5 times, 6 times, it's good to go. And then McGillicuddy, the 15-year-old, same thing. He's always been, in my opinion, a Renaissance kid. You know what I mean?
Wait, this is McGillicuddy. Which one? Where is he?
The 15-year-old. He's going into 10th grade.
Second oldest.
Out of the, I have an older one with my ex-wife, but out of the younger 3 with their mom,
gotcha.
He's the oldest.
He's the oldest of those. Gotcha.
Yeah. So in that environment, he grew up as the oldest.
Yeah.
Muggsy's the middle child, which I do agree with middle child syndrome. I did not until then, but I do now. He's easygoing too. He's one of the ones where he was really, really introverted until he got to high school.
Okay.
And then he got a core group of friends, and now he's extremely extroverted.
Gotcha.
He's kind of finding himself, which I appreciate. And we have because his mom and I have had issues for years, we've developed a really good interaction and dialogue. So we're really, really close. So we can typically talk through things.
Yeah.
So with him, it's parenting, but more discussing things, talking through things.
Right.
With the younger 2, it's strict parenting.
Yeah.
And with Muggsy, it's strict parenting. And then with my older son, like I said, he split time between my mom and him. And although my ex-wife and I don't really get along, she's a great mom. She did a great job. He turned out to be awesome and amazing. And if you ever watch this, Bug, I adore you. I love you. You did a good job. But just growing up, he was super into sports. My ex-wife was an athlete. So she pushed him towards that at a young age, and that was his main focus. So when I think about when I was in high school doing silly things, getting in trouble, he never did that. He had a core group of friends. He liked to play baseball, basketball, football. He's thin and tall, so he ended up sticking with baseball and basketball. And then he actually went to school for sports management. Didn't end up doing that as his career so far, but that's what he went to school for. So I don't know. It's an interesting dynamic when you watch them grow up and you think about the different ways you want to speak to them to parent.
Yeah. Well, and I think that something you touched on maybe even early, even talking about you and your brothers and how your parents were both. I mean, they were both there, and they were both very strict. They had their own things, but you all ended up so different.
Oh yes.
And I feel like that's such a thing that is a bit of a. It's like a bit of a mind fuck, I feel like, as a parent, because, you kind of come to this realization, and I don't know, for me, I feel like I came to this realization where I almost was like, oh, it doesn't matter what I do. Obviously I'm not just, a degenerate around my kid all the time.
Pass the crack pipe.
Right. Yeah. I only ask him to pass me the crack pipe once every 3 months.
Absolutely.
And I feel like quarterly is good.
Yeah.
So I'm pretty sure that's fine.
4 times a year.
Scientific, science says quarterly crack pipe request from your kid is okay.
I have to smoke more crack. I have more energy. I can work harder. So I can make more money. So I can buy more crack.
Exactly. So I can buy more crack. Yeah. Not clothes for you, kid.
Yes.
Crack. but yeah, I think there was this element where it was I can do whatever I want. I can try and set up these things. And I can try and even push my kid in certain ways. And I think I knew that for myself. I'm the youngest as well. And my dad was into music and he wanted me to be a musician. He was always trying to push me. And I was always kind of in the mode of raging as a machine. Fuck you, I won't do what you tell me.
Absolutely.
So I was like, nah, and I became a computer nerd, the exact opposite of it. But I think that there was this element of having to let go of this idea that I could control or have any real bearing in it outside of providing a healthy structure for my kid to become herself in. So I'm curious, what have you had that? Is that it? Am I reflecting a similar realization that you had, or how was it for you?
I agree 100%. And that's the main, I guess, thing that I base that on is, as I said, because my parents were, like I said, they were really good examples, really good role models, and we ended up so much differently. As I've grown up, I've realized that all you can do is the best you can do. You try to give your kids values. You try to teach them what's right. At the end of the day, they're going to do what they're going to do.
Right.
It's not to the point where you can ever throw your hands up and be like, I'm not going to be a responsible parent. And I will say this, without putting her name out, the younger kid's mom, he signed away his parental rights when she was 16 because he just didn't want to deal with her.
Wow.
And let her move out at 16. And I'm not going to say I'm going to sue you for all the issues I've had, but I see how that led to children need parents. They need discipline.
Right.
Be an example, whether they follow the path you gave them or not, you still have to set that path. And that's something that I realized where I say to myself, I want to do the best I can. I'm not going to lie and say I'm the perfect parent. I don't make mistakes, because I do. Lots of mistakes. But I try to do the right thing and set them on the right path with the understanding and rationalization that no matter what I do, if my son turns 18 and wants to go smoke crack, I can't control it. I didn't raise you that way. That's what you're going to do.
All the crack. Me and my kid.
If my old... Give me some rocks, yo.
She doesn't smoke it. She just holds it. She's my drug mule.
Put this in your pocket.
Yeah.
If my son grows up and wants to develop a Ponzi scheme and rip people off, I mean, it's nothing that I instilled in you, but I realize you get to a certain point where you're going to make your own decisions.
Yeah.
All I can say is that I did not raise you that way. I never gave you that example.
Right.
I never told you it was the right thing to do. And I don't know if I'm unique in this, but that's the way I felt for a really long time, that I love my kids more than anything. I joke around. And yes, sometimes I do want to kill them, and sometimes I do hate them. Passing. But I love my kids more than anything. I want them to be happy. I want them to be successful. I want them to feel fulfilled. I want them to just go through life and be like, hey, I have a purpose. I'm happy. I want them to look back on their childhood and have a happy childhood, because I had a great childhood. I want to reflect that in them, but I also realize you can't control certain things. If at age 20, my son, I mean, we keep going back to crack, but seriously, if my son's at a party and some girl he thinks is cute is like, hey, try crack, and he's like, oh, I want to impress her. And next thing I know, he's addicted to drugs. Again, I have relatives that have become addicted to drugs. They weren't addicted to drugs when we were teenagers growing up. You know what I mean? My uncle, and I won't say what city it was a mayor. He ended up getting indicted for doing some shady stuff. I'm sure my grandmother did not raise him to do shady things. He made it a conscious decision. So as I get older, I just say to my kids, like, I'm going to love you regardless of what you do. I may not always agree with it. I may not always accept it. I may not always, have your back if I know you're doing something wrong. But I'm going to love you regardless. If my kids, this is horrible for the universe. But if my kids grow up and, I don't know, become a bank robber or something, I'm going to be like, why? Get a job, have your money. Like, I had a job.
I would say don't get the dye packs.
Yes.
And then bring some to me.
Absolutely.
Just, leave it at my door. No questions asked.
Or go old school with the telephone. Don't brandish any weapons, because you get extra time if you pull out weapons. Use an electronic device and just say you're bugged, and if they don't give you the money, there's a bomb on you that's going to explode. Throw it to somebody else.
Boom.
Don't ever accept full responsibility.
New podcast idea.
Absolutely. Wrap a wire around yourself, walk into the bank, put a wire in your hand, say, hey, somebody gave me a note and said you have to give me $10,000 or they're going to blow me up. I don't want to rob the bank. They want me to rob the bank for them. Please give me the money. 50-50 chance you'll get away with it. And then I know in North Carolina, they automatically cut your sentence in half. So just saying.
All right.
Yes.
New information. We're going to change this whole podcast. All right. So how many getaway drivers do I need? Is it just one?
One getaway driver.
All right.
Less
driver.
Okay.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right. And then, all right.
Yes.
Speaking of being a bad parent, no.
Yes.
I really actually appreciate that answer, the detail that you went into there, because I think that there is, you can only provide the environment, and then how they utilize the resources from that environment are really just going to be how they decide to operate within it. And sure, there are certain things I think you can do, and I think we try to do, that maybe indicate how we approach parenting and making sure that we're putting them on the right path. But again, it's a lot of it is a flip of the coin, which I think is, to me, it's stressful, but it's also sobering. And I'm curious if you have a feeling either way emotionally, how that impacts you in terms of does it give you a sense of relief? Does it give you a sense of worry?
Well, I'd say it's both on a daily basis. Exactly. Yeah, and it's funny because one of my coworkers is actually having a baby, so we had a virtual baby shower for her, and I think there was maybe 17 of us. Okay. And at the end, they wanted us all to give words of parenting advice. So it was so interesting to hear different people's perspectives on it. Because I know like I said, I've worked there 4 years. So I know most of my coworkers. I don't know them intimately, but I know them surface level. Who has kids, who doesn't. And it was so interesting to hear different people's perspectives. Perspectives on it. So like you said, it's kind of a little bit of both. It's like my one core thing is I want my kids to feel fulfilled, be happy, and just find some level of like peace. Yeah. Unfortunately, with the younger ones, because I, pretty much had a dysfunctional relationship with their mom, up until a couple years ago when we finally split, they were exposed to a lot of turmoil. The younger ones don't really remember it, but the older one does, and that reflects on me a lot. When I talk about things with them, and even when they do stuff to make me mad, sometimes I take an extra second to be like, they had to deal with this at a young age. I need to just calm down and reflect on it, go for a walk, come back to it. And there's a lot of fear going into it. It's just you always want what's best for your kids. Yeah. You don't want them to make bad decisions and choices. But on the other hand, as I said, you can't control what they do. Right. You think you can, but I was a mischievous child. I was sneaking out of my house when I was in elementary school to go swimming. My parents had no clue. Granted, I wasn't necessarily doing anything bad, getting into like trouble, but they thought I was asleep in bed and I was going out the back, going up the pool, swimming with my friends, coming back in, going upstairs. And I know they would have had a heart attack if they would have known about it. And I think about things like that. I'm like, oh my God, if I woke up and my kid wasn't home, I'd freak out. Like, right. And
I'm curious, I'm sorry to interrupt you, but I'm curious if that's forced a form of evolution in you. Like you said, knowing that you don't want for you what you, for your kids, right? You know what I mean? And so, like, what type of evolution, I'm curious, and hopefully I didn't derail your point too much, fine. But, if that did really force that evolution where consciously, even though we know, we don't have much control, but how much you try to model or try to create an example that they can look at and follow, if that's forced a way you operate. Or if that maybe it happened beforehand, you know what I mean? And they were there. But did they force any of that evolution on you?
I would say yes and no. And this is another one that was like,
I think it's a lot of duality. And
they
so much
forced it on me because, again, I reflect on things I did. And I was charmed. I have a horseshoe. Nothing bad ever happened. The times I was sneaking out, jumped in cars with random people to go to parties, and people were drinking and driving, and as I got older, not in elementary school, but situations I put myself into where things could have gone really bad. Yeah. I think about that and I reflect on it, and I worry. But on the other hand, the reason I kind of have a surface level of it's not the same, and I don't necessarily have to distill it on them, is can I do a super zoom in close up? Kids these days are soft. You see all these memes about Gen X. We were drinking 40s. We were drinking Mad Dog. We were drinking 8-Ball. These kids these days, all they want to do is play Roblox. They don't want to leave the house.
That is true. That is true.
It's hard to get in trouble when you don't leave the house.
That is true.
When I say get off the computer to get outside, they don't. They're not.
I kicked my daughter out of the house once, like, just go outside, and she just sat on the front step. I'm like, you motherfucker, come on.
Muggsy will go outside and play with his friends and go on bike rides and stuff. Yeah. Occasionally, Muggsy and McGillicuddy will go on bike rides. But 7 times out of 10, I have to force them to get them out of the house. Where when I was younger, you know what I mean? I'm assuming same age. I was gone. My parents had no idea where I was, what I was doing. So it's a certain level of environment and a certain level of... my brain just went blank for the phrase, the nurture versus nature. Yeah. With nurture, I can tell them, hey, this is what I want you to do. This is what I want you guys to focus on. But as far as nature, the kids these days, and again, I'm speaking generally, I can only speak for my own, but they don't have the desire to be outside getting in trouble that we had when we were younger.
True.
So it's like, I think about situations to put myself in, but now I'm like, my kids don't even want to sneak out. It's cold outside. It's dark outside. Why would I want to go pool hopping? I'll get wet and it'll be nighttime. And what if I cut my leg? And why do I want to take a bike ride through the woods at night? It's cold. I'd rather be at home playing Roblox.
Yeah, they're so practical. It's like, shut up. Just be impractical for a minute.
So I do have some of those fears. But as of yet, and I hope I didn't just jinx myself, but as of yet, they're not coming to fruition because my kids just aren't like me. The environment they're growing up, we didn't have the internet. We were just literally, we'd go outside and we'd play. We'd play kickball, we'd play football, you know what I mean? We'd run around. And I grew up, as I said, we didn't move much. So I grew up in the same neighborhood around the same people from elementary school through high school. We lived in the same street. So most of my friends, we all grew up together. everybody had siblings. So everybody had older kids and younger kids, and we were just always outside playing.
Right.
Flashlight, tag, and walking in the creek. There's a creek behind my house. Playing in the creek, going on bike rides, playing sports. Like, we were always outside doing something. And then it got to the point where we're like, hey, let's sneak out and do this and go swimming. And it was innocent when we were younger. Then we got older. We're like, hey, let's go to Baltimore, get some beer and hang out and, in people's basements. And again, nothing too bad, just being teenagers.
Right.
But my older son, again, he's 24, and my ex-wife lived in Pennsylvania. When we divorced, I split time between Pennsylvania and Maryland. And I'd see my son a lot. We're really close.
Yeah.
And same thing. I'm like, are you friends? Do anything? Like, no, we're just playing video games and hang out in someone's basement. I'm like, you guys aren't going out? No. I'm like, what do you do all the time? Right. Like, we literally, after school, if we're not playing sports, we're in somebody's basement playing video games. I'm like, are you guys like smoking or drinking or anything? He's like, nope. Just playing video games. Yeah. And I'm like,
And I love doing those things. I love hanging out in the basement playing some video games. But after being a bit of a degenerate. Yeah.
Yes.
No,
and it's one of those things. So 5 years later, to answer your question, some of the things I do think about and I project them with him, but as of yet, I do not see it coming out. Even my older son, who's going into 10th grade, his group of friends, they're online most of the time. Like, they'll go out, they'll do things, they'll walk around the mall, they'll hang out. But it's a more of a controlled, not necessarily that I'm supervising them, but they're in a more controlled environment. They're either at someone's house playing video games.
Right.
A couple of weeks ago, I took them to Ellicott City. They just wanted to walk up and down Ellicott City. They ended up going to the railroad tracks really far away, and coming back. But I dropped them off. I picked them up. I mean, it's not the same as it was when we were young.
And you are 100% right.
In the 1800s. So
back in my day.
Yep.
Yeah. No, you are right. Like, I'm always telling my daughter, like, just. I've told her before, I'm like, just go. In fact, I remember she got in trouble at school for doing homework in the wrong class.
Are you serious?
And I remember calling, her mom calls me and she's like, did you see this letter from her teacher, this note from her teacher? And I'm like, what? And she's like, yeah, she was doing math work in English class. And I was like, what a fucking nerd. I'm like, are you serious? And like, I called her later that day when she was home, and I was like, she was with her mom that time, and I was like, what is this? I was like, I got an email from her teacher. What are you? And she's all like freaked out, like, what? And all freaked out. I was like, yeah. I was like, the first time I get an email from a teacher about you in class is you doing work. I was like, can you start a fire? Can you cut a class? Do something. Like, talk shit about us. I don't care. Just get in trouble. Like, that's the worst thing to get in trouble about. But it is true. I mean, it is true. Like,
it's
how
funny.
that.
I mean, my oldest son, he's 24. I remember my ex-wife and I, we split up again when he was 5, turning 6. She had dated a couple different people, and then I guess she found her love and wanted to move away. So she moved to Severna Park when he was going into 7th grade. Okay. Which sucks because I had just moved to Pennsylvania to be closer to him. I was living in Baltimore. Then 2 months later, she moved to Severna Park, and I'm like, what? But I remember he was going to a new middle school, and he got into a fight. And she called me. She's like, hey, he got into a fight. I'm like, what happened? He's like, I was drinking a drink, and some kid walked up and like spilt it on me, so I punched him. And I'm like, is that the true story? Is that really what happened? He's like, yeah. I'm like, well, you shouldn't have punched him in school. You should have waited till after school, so you wouldn't have gotten in trouble. But it's okay, don't fight in school. Right. Talk through your problems, report it to somebody else. The typical family things. But I let him know, as far as I'm concerned, you're good to go. Like, I'm fine with it. And that was the only trouble he ever got in. Like, he got A's and B's, was on a roll, dean list in college. Like, he has his own business now. He was fine. The 15-year-old, he got in a fight in 8th grade and got suspended for 2 days, but kind of the same thing. Yeah. And they were witnesses, so I know, because I was always like, yeah, sure, that's what happened. But he's big too. Like, I'm kind of a small guy. But I'm only 5'7", but my ex-wife is 5'8", and her brothers and father are over 6 feet. And the younger kid's mom is 5'4", but her brothers and father are over 6 feet. So my kids get the height from their mom. So my son's pretty big for his age. And this kid was just messing with him, like poking him. So finally my son was going through a goth phase. So he had like black nails and black eyeliner and whatever. And the kid just wanted to mess with him, but he was also wearing a spike bracelet. So he told him 3 times, quit poking me. quit pushing me. If you put me, I'm going to hit you. So finally, he grabbed the kid and he punched him and like dropped him and like cut his face with a spike bracelet. And, you know, he ended up getting suspended for 2 days. But I called the school. I met with the counselor. We talked to we didn't meet the other kid's parents because they won't give you the information who the child is. But there were witnesses that said he tried to de-escalate it, and the kid kept messing with him. I'm like, well, again, in my book, you're good. Yeah, I gave the typical don't get in fights in school, just walk away. Could have walked away. You could have gone to the teacher. But at the end of the day, you're not in trouble.
You got to do what you got to do.
Yeah, you were defending yourself. He wasn't leaving you alone. And same thing, from elementary school up until now, that's the only time he got in trouble. Muggsy,
you start using toes.
Muggsy's always been in trouble. And then the youngest one, little cat D, he hasn't, I mean, he's only, you know, little kid going to fifth grade. But,
he's got time.
Yeah, he hasn't gotten in trouble. So it's one of those things where I think about the situations I got in. Like I was, oh my God, I got suspended twice in high school for fighting. I used to hook school all the time because my friends and I would just like hang out. And I know my one friend, he barely passed. They said if he missed one more day of school, he would have failed.
Wow.
And I was not leaving school as much as he was. Like his parents were, they immigrated here. He's first generation American. So they were working. He would just go home and just hang out and be a bum. I just think about that now, and I'm like, my kids, they don't want to hook school. Well, one, they have no place to go because everything's monitored now. Yep. Everything's online. Like, if
they were there to feel for them.
Yeah.
Like, my daughter was talking about this recently. She was talking to her friend, and at her mom's house, they have, like, cameras everywhere and stuff outside. And she was like, even if I wanted to sneak out, I couldn't. And I was like, yeah, that does sound like she's not the type of kid that would do it. Yep. But like when she said that, I was like, that is kind of true.
And that's the thing with it. What I said about the environment's different. One, they don't want to leave the house because everything's here. They have all the amenities. But two, everything's recorded these days. One of their friends would be like, hey, we're hooking school. Oh, we're down or whatever. Yeah. And then it's going to go online. Then someone's going to find out they're going to get caught.
Right.
It's not as easy. I remember we had a huge party for anyone who went to Howard and graduated in '89. Party at Casey Cusera's house. Huge party where the principal showed up, the cops showed up, everybody was running out of the house, but it was just word of mouth. You know what I mean? Like nowadays, everything's online and everybody wants to be video famous.
Right, everybody wants to show their face.
Either they're doing it innocently just to be like, hey, I'm with my friends hanging out, or they want to be like, oh, I'm streaming, whatever, let's get some likes. Yeah. So it's just a completely different universe and environment.
That is true. Yeah.
So I'm not as worried about them getting into the trouble they did.
Right.
Because it's so monitored and so close. And then also just to give props to my kids, they just, again, every parent is biased, but my kids seem pretty good natured. Like they just don't, even Muggsy, he's mischievous and he doesn't think before he acts. Yeah. But he doesn't act with malice. Like he's not out trying to be a negative person. Yeah. He's just like, did you see The Dark Knight?
Yes.
Remember the Joker's like, I don't think, I just do. That's Muggsy. Absolutely. You know what I mean? That's it. He doesn't have malice. He doesn't think before he acts, where the younger two think things out. So yeah, I don't think I'm going to be in a situation where I'm going to have to worry about them the way I worried about me.
Gotcha.
I think.
Okay.
Or parent them, because and even with, it's in the neighborhood. Like if they're out doing something, I live in a townhouse community where I'm cool with my neighbors. I've been there 4 years, and the schools are relatively close by, so there's just no way they're not going to get caught.
Right.
If they did get a wild-haired goose.
Yeah. All right. So I'm actually curious because now, correct me if I don't know for sure, but are your kids interracial? Are there?
Yes. Yes. So as far as the ethnicities of my kids, my ex-wife is Jewish and Italian. Okay. So my older son is here we go, deep dive. My mother is black. My grandmother is black. My grandfather is black, but he's extremely light skinned. Like, he looks white. My cousins used to say he was their white chauffeur when he would pick them up. My dad's mom is a Seminole Indian, and my dad's father's black. Okay. My ex-wife, the mother of my older son, is Jewish and Italian. Her dad's Italian, her mom's Jewish. So technically my older son is Jewish. And then with the younger ones, their mom is Puerto Rican and German. Okay. So my kids are all multicultural. Yeah. And the one thing I love about Colombia that I'll give mad props to, I can't say now, but when I was younger growing up in the 70s and 80s, it was designed to be a community that was all inclusive.
Yeah, for sure.
Different races, different religions, different income levels. And that's how I was raised, and that's core of my heart.
Yeah.
So that's one thing. My kids don't really dwell on it because they're so young that it doesn't come up in conversation very much. Like I said, we just went to a family reunion, and it was my dad's from the South, like the Panhandle near Alabama and Florida. But it just doesn't really come up as much as it did when we were young in those discussions. But yes.
Yeah, and I mean, I was curious because, my daughter is interracial. She's, her mom is Ecuadorian, Dominican.
Okay.
And so she's, Latin and Black. And, the kind of helping her navigate her identity, is not, it's difficult. I mean, I think that's just the thing that happens with kids anyway, right? Navigating that identity. But, I've had to have conversations. I had a conversation with her recently, like she got her hair braided for the first time. And I remember she asked me, she was like, can I get my hair braided? Is it okay? And I'm like, what do you mean, is it okay to get your hair braided? And she's like, well, because I'm not like Black. And I'm like, no, you are. I'm like, you're Black and Latina. You are both. It's not like half and half. It's you are both, And I had to kind of have this moment where I'm like, no, you get to express your identity. You get to be these things. And I've seen these areas where it's like times where, trying to not so much fight, but just make sure she understands her ability to embrace her identity as a multitude of things versus, because she's gotten it from the Black kids, she's gotten it from the white kids, she's gotten it from a lot of different angles. And, and so sometimes it breaks my heart to see her going through that because I'm like, no, you get to be you, and you are your Black and Latina self. You are not one half of one. You know what I mean? Absolutely. So I was kind of curious to hear, like, was there any points or any overt decision-making you had to do to make sure they had an understanding of their cultural identity? But it sounds like, they had such a good, for lack of a better word, a good mix of identity and cultural expressions around them that maybe it's not as much a thing that they think about, or is that something you find them or having to think about?
One of those things that I kind of deal with it when it comes up in conversation. So to kind of expand on the topic, when we were younger, it was like, if anybody in your family is Black, you're Black, no matter whatever. And because I didn't want to be like my brother was like a typical, like, Columbia, hey, yo, boy, you know what I mean? And I was like, I don't want to be like brother. I want to be a fucking punk rocker. And they're like, oh, why are you trying to be white? Why are you trying to be a punk rocker? You're an Oreo. And for those that don't know, Oreo means you're Black on the outside, but trying to be white on the inside. And I would say, how can you be a color? Like, I am who I am. I don't want to be like my brother. Yeah. I'm going to be like me. Yeah. And because I had a really core group of friends, I was like, fuck you if you don't like me. I've always been insecure in myself. Yeah. And I was like, if you could find one molecule in my body that gave a fuck about your opinion of me, good luck for you, because I don't fucking care. Excuse me for the language, kids. Yes.
Yeah.
But, so growing up, I had to deal with that a lot because, I mean, I dyed my hair, I pierced myself, and I get fucked with a lot. But I took martial arts. My friends took martial arts. We could take care of ourselves. Always had a really strong sense of security because I had really good friends, awesome parents, a good family. So I never felt like, oh my God, I'm getting picked on, I'm victimized. Yeah. One, I would fight in a heartbeat if someone fucked with me. Two, my friends accepted me, so that's all I really cared about. My family accepted me, so that's all I care about. So if you have kids that are going through things that are diverse and change, love your children, always accept them, always support them, and then they will grow up to be dope like me, yo. Nah, joking. But so with my kids, with my older son, again, we divorced when he was 5, and it never really came up in conversation. When he graduated from college, I told him there's something called the right of return, which if you're Jewish, you can go to Israel for free. Yeah. And he's like, what are you talking about? I'm not Jewish. I'm like, you are Jewish. He's like, your grandmother's Jewish. Your mom's Jewish. It's passed by the female. You're Jewish. He's like, so he called his mom, and my ex-wife was like, you're not Jewish. So I was like, call your grandmother. So he called his grandmother, and she's like, yes, you're Jewish. And I was like, what? You know what I mean? Yeah. So, but growing up, and it's funny because my son grew up in Dallastown, Pennsylvania, which is kind of rural, mostly white, working class. But he, same thing, had a core group of friends. It was never an issue. When I was growing up in high school, and I know this may not be, I guess, accepted these days, but my friends and I were like, 3 of us were Black, 2 of us were white, 2 were Asian. We had a mixed group of friends, and we would make racial jokes all the time just to fuck with each other. So we desensitized it. It didn't bother us. With my kids, it's one of the things where when they were younger, it made me laugh. Although their mom is Puerto Rican and German. She's super pale, like as pale as this piece of paper. If you look at her grandfather, he's Puerto Rican. Some of her aunts are darker complected. But with my kids, my McGillicuddy, my 15-year-old, is a darker complexion like me, and the younger two, Little Cat D and Muggsy, are a lighter complexion. So they used to say when they're little, "Oh, we're white like mom, and you're black like dad." And I'm like, no, you guys are all the same thing. It doesn't matter. This is your ethnicity. This is your race. You know what I mean? Like when they ask me questions about it, I tell, but for the most part, they don't care. Yeah. The neighborhood I live in is, I'd say, 80% Spanish. So most of my kids' friends are all the same complexion. Everybody kind of looks the same. Cool, my kids are mixed. Most of the kids are Latino, but everybody kind of looks the same when you look outside. So they don't really, it has not been an issue in their lives. Yeah. And then my older son, same thing, because he wanted to get goth and get into punk rock, certain kids in school would mess with him, but he also has a core group of friends. So I told him the same thing. Like, they mess with me, I went through it. One, you're really intelligent, so use your words. If they're like, "Oh, you look like an idiot," be like, "Well, your mom wasn't saying that last night, and she was sucking my dick." But be prepared. I was not expecting that to be the response, but all right. Be prepared for the repercussions. And this is what I told him. His first day of school in 9th grade, he had black nail polish, black eyeliner. I'm like, you're going to get messed with. Right. It's like, just be prepared. Like, I love you. I want you to be yourself. Be your authentic self. I will back you up, but be prepared that people are going to mess with you. As long as they don't touch with you, their words, I was like, outthink them. Think whatever they say, think of a quicker response. And you're not going to get in trouble with me, you know what I mean? And he did. He said a lot of people mess with him, but again, he has a core group of friends, similar to my experience. He's like, they accept me for who I am. Right. I don't care. Then he broke up with the girl I was dating, and all of a sudden he became a jock. He's like, I'm just going to play football or whatever. And I was like, all right, sure. And then they got back together, and now he's goth again. So you know how that goes. Right. But yeah, the racial thing hasn't come up as much. And again, I can only speak for my kids and my experience, but I let them know what they're exposed to and who they are. We went to a family reunion on my mom's side 2 weeks ago, and we went to a family reunion on my dad's side last weekend. So they've been around their extended family and their cousins. And it just, again, like, my view of parenting is as soon as it comes up in conversation, I'll discuss it. Yeah. My older son, sorry to flip the subject a little bit. No. But my older son, like I said, we broke up. His mother and I split up when he was 5, turning 6. So she had a long-time boyfriend. They started dating. And my older son has a unique experience where he went from being an only child to the youngest child to a middle child to the oldest child. Oh, wow. And by that, I mean is he was my firstborn son with my ex-wife. When she met the guy that she ended up having a daughter with, he had 2 sons. So he went from being an only child, because they lived together for 3 years, to being the youngest of the 3 kids in the household when he spent time with them. And then I had my 15-year-old, she had her daughter, and then they split up. So he went from being like having 2 older kids that he lived with in the middle, 2 babies underneath him, and them splitting up and being the oldest. So only child, youngest child, middle child, oldest child. Back to oldest. But I remember when we were playing basketball one time at my parents' house, and he came back and he's like, "Dad, you got to hit it and quit it, right?" And I was like, "What? What are you talking about?" He's like, "Well," and then he shouldn't say that. Well, no, I'm saying no. Anyways, he's like, the 2 kids that he was living with were like, told him that that's what you do with girls. And I was like, "No, what are you talking about? Like, you're a little kid in elementary school." He's like, "Well, that's what they told me." And I'm like, "No, And I explained to him it. And then the next weekend he was with me. He's like, "Dad, I found Mom's purple penetrator." And I'm like, "What?" He's like, that purple thing that's under the bed that goes. And I was like, "What?" He's like, the 2 older boys told me it's the purple penetrator. I'm like, "What is a purple penetrator?" He's like, So then I gave him the full sex talk. He was in 4th grade, I think. It's that time, Absolutely. Might as well know what it is. Absolutely. So the same thing with like race and anything else. The minute it comes up, I discuss it with them. It's one of those things where religion, race. My Muggsy is very religious. Yeah. Sorry, I'm deviating again. No. I used to live in Baltimore, and I used to live kind of near North Charles Street. So when I first got divorced, I lived downtown. I was in the service industry for 12 years before I got into what I'm doing now. So they'd always have Pride near my house. I'd always go to Pride, hang out. A bunch of my friends would go, do different things. One of my good friends was dating a bartender who used to host the drag shows at Central Station a long time ago. So my son was exposed to it all the time, grew up around it, super cool with it, never had any issues. I took the younger 2 to Pride 2 years ago to the block party. And they were just like, oh my God, why is that guy half naked? Why are her boobs covered? Why are they smoking weed? Blah, blah, blah. I was like,
fucking narc,
I was like, oh, I should have taken you to the street fair part, not the block party. But as we got back, like the kids were just asking about different things about sexuality and religion. And my older son decided that he's agnostic. He's like, I believe in a higher power. I don't, know what it is. It's whatever. The younger one has no concerns about religion. And Muggsy became very religious. I don't know if he was traumatized by the block party or what. But same thing. He wants to go to church. He wants to be exposed to religion. And because I would consider myself agnostic also. I believe in a higher power. I don't really agree with organized religion, but I'll save that for a different day. But I believe in our power, so I'm giving him like a lot of exposure to it because that's what he wants. And that's kind of how I view everything with like race, religion. If it comes to me and they have questions about it, I'll answer it when they speak about it. But it's nothing I push on them.
No, and I appreciate that, and that's kind of a view that I've tried to hold, because I think I grew up in a space where there were things that were held from me as a kid, and it was like. I was like, man, I wish somebody would have just told me. Like, you had just told me this, it would have dealt with a lot of anxieties, all that stuff. So I kind of had this view that I was like, once a kid asks, they're ready to hear whatever the answer is. Like, once they express whatever that is. But it actually makes me curious because I think having that mentality can lead to, we talked about that duality, right? It can be good, it can be bad. So I'm curious, has that ever led into, or do you have a favorite being funniest, most memorable, what I like to call a bad dad moment, right? Like something that came up where it's almost like like a bad dad moment might be like you, I think it was Muggsy, where you're saying, saying, hey, if they say X, then you go, oh, what your mother was saying. It's like, oh yeah, I think that's funny. Some people might be like clutch their pearls. So do you have a favorite bad dad moment with your kids?
I have an ongoing bad dad moment. Because as I said, the mother of the younger three is a free spirit, and she curses like a sailor. So one day, because of the age difference, like I said, I have two that were in elementary school and one that was in high school. So even though anybody who has kids knows that's a significant difference. The high school kids doing certain things that I didn't necessarily want the elementary school kids exposed to. But when they're in the same household and I'm working remote and I can't watch them at all times, they're becoming exposed to it. So I did rock, paper, scissors. And I was like, I'm going to do rocks, paper, scissors with you guys. If I lose, you can watch adult content, nothing like sexual or anything like that. But as far as language,
those squiggly channels are going to be clear, kids.
Crass stuff like that. I'm like, you guys can watch it. I was like, your mom says every word in the book. Whenever she gets mad, like she has no filter. Doesn't care how old they are. She will just be like, see this, F this, da, 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 da. And it's like, okay, well, not that I agree with it, but I am here to say I think that's bad, whatever. But my ongoing bad dad moment is I told them they could watch what they want. So they watch Rick and Morty, and I was like, why did I agree with this? Whatever. And then there's something else they're watching now, and I don't know. It's these puppets. I can't remember what it's called. I just hear it in the background.
Puppets.
It's some show I think it's on YouTube maybe, with these puppets. But they're trying to, I guess, bite off of Rick and Morty with crassness. So it's just
not
gratuitous.
Ollie, something than Ollie, but that was an old show. That was Rick and Morty.
New.
All right.
But it's just crass. It's just gratuitous. It's like, it's not entertainment. I think about South Park when you're younger. South Park was funny. You know what I mean? Rick and Morty, maybe I'm too old, but it's kind of gratuitous.
It can be at times.
I'm like, it's funny, but it's like, come on. They're just going out of the way to try and push the envelope, whatever. But my ongoing dad moment is I said it was okay for them to watch what they want. So I typically just walk in and be like, why are you guys watching this? You said we could. You said we could. You said we could. You said we could listen to whatever we want. And my only thing that gives me a little bit of solace is I say, well, I don't agree with this. I don't talk like that. I don't act like that. But I did say you guys could watch it. So that's my ongoing bad dad moment.
Fair enough. No, it's funny because sometimes I curse like a sailor. And I remember once my daughter, she was like 7 or 8, and I picked her up from school and we're driving, and somebody cuts me off, whatever it was. I was like, motherfucker, and I was like, oh my God, hey, don't say that, and she goes, oh, I know. I've heard you say it before, and I know that I'm not supposed to say it.
Yeah, I used to do the dollar thing where if I curse, I owe you $1.
Oh, yeah, I probably owe my daughter like college tuition at this point.
$6,000.
Yeah, but I remember she was like, yeah, I've heard you say that word before, and I know that I'm not supposed to say it.
Okay.
And so in that vein of like, once kids kind of express and whatever, it's like, all right, we're ready to hear this.
Hell yeah.
And so I was like, oh, well, you know what? Here's what you need to know about cursing. You only say it. You keep like I was like, I know that at your age, because at your age, I was cursing. I was saying every word I could think of and learning them all. And so I was like, look, keep it within your friend group. Don't spread it to younger kids. Don't teach younger kids how to curse. Don't curse at any authority figures, anyone older than you. Keep it in your friend group. As long as you do that, I don't care what you say. And then one day she's like, we're in the car, and she's like, Daddy, I did it. And I'm like, what? And she was like, well, there was this kid, and he was picking on the little kids in the playground, and you raised me. And she's a great negotiator. She said, you raised me to not sit by when other people were being mistreated.
Yeah.
I don't stand for that. So he was picking on these other kids and blah, blah. And she was like, and I made sure I didn't say it to anybody else. I just kept it in my friend group. And I was like, well, what'd you say? And she goes, well, she's like, I got really mad that he kept like picking on these kids. So I decided I was going to do something about it. And I called him a fucking bitch. And I told my friends, I called him a fucking bitch to my friends. And I went because she was taking karate. I went and swept him down to the ground. She threw him down to the ground. Now she described it as she called him an effing B.
Okay.
And she told me that. And I was just like, yeah. You used it correctly.
Justified. That's fine.
I was like, you used it correctly. You followed the rules. You didn't say it to anybody else. It's like, kudos. Yeah. Let's go get some ice cream.
Oh yeah. The main thing I say to my kids is that, and again, this is kind of my parents would always stick this in the back of my head. It's like, there's so many other words you can choose besides cuss words to insult someone, yell at somebody. Right. It's like, to me, I call it the LCD, lowest common denominator.
Yeah.
When you get mad, you just react.
Sure.
But I'm like, dude, just use words. Like, there's so many, you could insult somebody in so many different ways without dropping F-bombs. Don't do it. And they're like, well, you do when you get mad. I'm like, yeah, I mean, I'm human. I react in anger. I'm not going to say I'm an angel.
Right,
I try not to.
Oh, are you turned on? Make sure that's hit the top button on there. Like the top button, hold it down for a second. There it is. All right, cool.
Shit.
No, you're good.
Okay.
I think it just happened.
Good.
Yeah.
I cannot repeat all that stuff.
Right, no.
But something else I was thinking about swearing also is like, I curse when I get mad.
Yeah.
I just don't normally in day-to-day life. Like my dad, again, cursed every once in a while. I don't think I've ever heard my mom. I was thinking about this when I was going to the bathroom. My mom grew up like Catholic in D.C., one of 14 kids. My grandmother was extremely religious. My grandfather he was super cool, but he's old school, Granddad didn't really talk that much. But my mom just didn't swear. Like, it's weird. So I didn't grow up around it. You know what I mean? My dad would every once in a while. And then, when I'm out with my friends or listen to music or whatever, I do. But just on a day-to-day basis, I just really don't do it a lot. Yeah, so with them, I know my older son, every once in a while, I hear him when he's on gaming with his friends. He'll say something. I, knock on the door. I'm like, sorry. But for the most part, I don't know if it's something they were going to do as they get older.
Right.
Like, kind of like your daughter, if a situation comes up where they might want to.
Yeah. So. Yeah, it's funny. Like, my daughter, she does. I even told her at one point, I was like a couple years ago, I was like, honestly, I really don't care if you curse. Like, I know you're a good kid. I know you're not like just spouting off or whatever. So if occasionally you and your friends are talking and you say something, I'm really not going to worry about it. But she does not, like, there will be music playing and she's like, I can't listen to this because it's got curse words. And I was like, I don't care. I'm like, you have listened to me listen to my music in the car. You don't have to hold it back. But it's nice to know that, she still has that sense of respect, even if she knows, like, she doesn't have to. It's like, okay, I'm still going to keep that boundary. Absolutely. So I do appreciate that. I really appreciate all that you kind of told me. As we're kind of wrapping up a little bit, what would you say is maybe your biggest hope and or fear that you have for your kids as they grow and move on into the world? Is there anything that you particularly find yourself worrying or hoping for?
I'd say my two biggest fears, it's kind of a weird dichotomy with this, is I feel really bad. This is one of my biggest regrets also. As I said, my parents have been together forever, and although they're both alphas and they would bicker, it was a very stable relationship. My kids have never seen me in a long-term relationship with anybody. And without saying too many disparaging comments about the younger three's mom, it was not healthy when we were together.
Yeah.
So I don't know if they understand what it's like to be in a functional, healthy relationship. And a lot of times you reflect the behaviors you grew up around. So one of my biggest fears is that they're going to look to find this type of women that are like their mom, because that's all they know. That's what they grew up around. That's what they're exposed to. And it's one of those things that no matter what I tell them, it's whatever's ingrained in them. And then, of course, you don't want them to be in accidents, get diseases, be healthy. So as far as like unrealistic things, it's like, please stay healthy. Don't get in an accident, make good decisions, get a good job, pay your bills, have good credit, be happy, do the most to have a productive life. But from my aspect, it's like I feel really bad, and I've said this to all four of them. Like my older son, his mom's completely squared away, but he has no memory of us being together. So he grew up with me being single, and then when he was 8, I met the kid's mom, and he knew from day one, I should have listened to him, that it was dysfunctional to the point where he got to an age where he didn't want to come to the house anymore if she was there, because he just didn't like us arguing and fighting. So I want them to make good decisions and find someone who's going to support them and have their back and make them a better person, where it's a partnership, where they were never really exposed to that. I don't think they have a clear expectation of what it's like to have a healthy relationship. So that's kind of my biggest fear.
Gotcha.
My biggest hope, again, is like, people go down different paths. I used to get in lots of trouble. Like, I'm not going to say I've never been in jail 1 or 2, 3 times. But it worked out really well. Like, I'm an executive for a pharmaceutical company now. Like, everything that I've done in the past has kind of got me to where I am. And I don't really have a lot of regrets. I have a couple of regrets, but not a lot of regrets, because I feel it made me the person that I am. So I want them to be able to just, value human life, value the experience. I mean, I personally don't believe in reincarnation. I think you get one go around. And again, as to what happens when you die, I personally don't think there's an afterlife. I think when you're done, you're done. Everybody can have their own beliefs on that. But my thing is make the best of the life you have and make good decisions. And if you make good decisions, it's easier to have a happier, carefree life. Typically. If you make poor decisions, you're more inclined to have a more complicated life. Life happens, anything can happen, but I would want them to just be happy, be productive, make the best of themselves, and not look back and have a lot of regrets. And hopefully, depending on what they choose, my older son, he's bi. I think he's bi. I don't know. I think he has a boyfriend. I don't know. There's 2 people who keep showing up. This one girl who turned golf for, and this one dude. So from my understanding, I think he's dating both of them. I could care less. But just, absolutely. But just be happy. Find people who support you to make you a better person and be happy. So that's what I want. Them to be happy, make decisions, and don't marry their mom.
Fair enough. I was going to ask if there was honestly, first off, let me step back. Thank you. I think that's I appreciate that, because I think that's such a hard thing for kids, even though we talk about it, it's like it may not have to factor totally in, but I do think for young Black men, you know what I mean? We don't get a lot of space to just be okay with who we are, and there's a lot of eyes, and I think that I'm sure that's the same for a lot of people, but I think there's a heightened element for Black men. So I appreciate what you're saying in that sense of like letting them kind of express, accept, and be themselves, and kind of move how they are. But it sounds like that might be the lesson, is that, hey, just make good decisions, so forth. But is that what you would say is the biggest lesson you hope they grasp sooner rather than later in the sense of, I think there are things that you can repeat it.
The thing to grasp, in my opinion, is just like appreciate who you are and respect other people.
Yeah.
I think a lot of the problems that we deal with now is people get so, especially after COVID, when everybody got put in bubbles,
right?
And you can kind of source the information you want to source.
Yeah.
You can be selective about what you're exposed to. I mean, it probably happened prior to COVID, but we're a lot more aware of it after COVID.
Right? Hyper aware.
It's just realize, like, I'm trying to think of how to phrase this. Normally, I'm pretty good. I'm a wordsmith. I think, and I want them to appreciate life more than anything else. And that's the value of human life, the life experience, respecting other people. You don't have to agree with other people to show them mutual respect.
Right.
Someone could be 100% different from you. You don't know what they went through. You know what their background is. If you don't agree with them, just be like, hey, I don't agree with you.
Yeah.
Give them space.
Yeah.
If you want to have a discussion with them, fine. But be aware that everybody has been exposed to different things and grows a different way.
Yeah.
Try and be compassionate to people. Try and be understanding of people. And try and do the best you can just to be a good person.
Right.
That's what I would say. Try and be a good person. Live a good life. Anything can happen. I mean, I'm very blessed that all the bad things that have happened to me have been from me making poor decisions.
Right.
I have a couple of friends that just have bad luck where shitty things happen all the time.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry, I'm going to switch the conversation a little bit. One of my friends actually is the nicest person you would ever meet. But his father committed suicide, and he found his dad. He walked home, and his dad hung himself. He found his dad. His mom was an alcoholic.
God,
she was in repetitive relationships with abusive boyfriends who abused him. His older brother was a drug addict. His younger sister ended up committing suicide. And he is the nicest person you would ever meet. He never internalized it. He never blamed society. He's like, dude, I had a shitty life, but I'm not going to make the world shittier just because I had a shitty life. And I think about that a lot. And that's what I kind of instill in my kids. It's like, be a good person. You never know what's going to happen.
Right.
Anything could happen in life, but try to have a positive mental attitude when it comes to addressing things and try to make good decisions and just be a good person. Try to be accepting of other people. Try and be loving of people. If you dislike other people, always stick up for yourself. Always defend yourself, but don't waste time on people who aren't worth wasting your time on. Yes.
That's great. And, it reminds me of two things I try to repeat or mantras I try to repeat both to myself, but also my daughter is like, just because the world is hard doesn't mean your heart has to be.
Absolutely.
And the other side is I don't have to like you to care about you. I don't have to, there's plenty of people I don't like, but I don't want to see that person be hurt or mistreated, and I think that's an important thing. So no, thank you for sharing that. And honestly, no, I think I can't think of anything else that I have to ask. I think this has been great. So I just want to say thank you so much for taking the time to again, trust me with this conversation. But just to have the conversation and haven't had a chance to maybe meet your kids. I think I might have seen you guys walking through the city
we've been around a couple times,
but just knowing, who you are, the way you show up, the way you've always shown up. I can only imagine, what quality people they are in respect to that.
I'm really lucky, and I will say this. I'm very lucky. I have 4 very healthy, happy kids. Granted, nobody's perfect. I'm not trying to paint myself to be the perfect dad or have the perfect life. But my kids are healthy. My kids are happy. Pretty much problem-free. I'm really blessed and I'm really lucky.
Well, I think that is the perfect way to end it, and I think I'm glad to hear that. So I just want to say thank you.
You're welcome.
Daryl, I love you. I appreciate you having this conversation.
Of course.
Thank you for meeting with me in person. We'll say cheers.
Cheers.
And we will end this thing. So,
absolutely.
Thank you.
Do you have an outro song?
What's that?
An outro
I
song?
do have an outro, but I put that in at the end.
Joe, it's time to go.
Thank you for listening. Please subscribe, like, follow on whatever podcasting platform you're using. If you have any inquiries or comments, feel free to reach out to me at ihmk@dosomething.design and let me know what you thought about the show. If you have any questions, or just send me spam. I don't know.
This has been a DoSomething.design production. All audio edited by me, Joseph Carter-Brown. Intro music is Beat 10 by the Open Music Archive. And exit music is The Georgia Stomp by DJ Assault. Both are licensed under the Creative Commons Attribution 4.0 license, available at creativecommons.org/licenses/by-sa/4.0.